Alright, Bills Mafia, welcome back to the Week 11 game preview video. This week we got the Buffalo Bills taking on the Cleveland Browns in Detroit. You know, there was a bit of a snowstorm hitting Buffalo, so they moved the game. Right now we don't know if the players are going to be able to get there, but, you know, we're going to talk about it as if they're playing. Now, to start off this video, I want to talk about some problem players and some guys that could cause the Bills issues this week. Problem player number one is running back Nick Chubb. He's the definition of a big play running back. He's third in the league in rushing yards, first in touchdowns, and first in 20-yard plays, which are considered big plays. You cannot have him running all over this defense, especially when it's going to set up their play action, which is what their offense is built on. This is a run-first offense, and if you can stop that guy, stop Kareem Hunt, whoever they got, I don't care. Stop the run, stop the Browns offense. Now, sometimes guys like Nick Chubb are just so good that they're just going to break a big one every so often. That's probably going to be the case. I wouldn't expect to just completely bottle him up for nothing. But I also would hope that this team has spent their time game planning a way to contain him enough where they can get the ball in Allen's hands and keep it out of Chubb's. Problem player number two, we got Myles Garrett, the defensive end. He's currently 9th in the league in sacks, which would put him just behind Bills defensive end Von Miller and former Bills defensive end Jerry Hughes. Why couldn't Jerry give us that production when he was here? Myles Garrett is one of the league's elite defensive ends, one of the best pass rushers in the game right now. He's going to take a lot of double teams, and I'm sure there's a game plan to stop him. The Bills have contained a lot of star D linemen so far this season. Hopefully that continues this game against the Browns. Problem player number three, I got Amari Cooper, the wide receiver from the Cleveland Browns. Traded from the Cowboys to the Browns this offseason. He's currently 18th in the league in receiving yards with 585. Even though his numbers aren't up to par with what he usually has, he's still one of the league's best route runners and receivers, considered he's on a run-heavy team with a bad quarterback and Jacoby Brissett. Without our cornerback one and Tre'Davious White still out, God knows when he's going to play. He could have a day, especially if they get that play action going. He's going to be that first read. A lot of the times, they're going to be trying to go deep with him, go outside, inside. He can hit you anywhere. He can beat you anywhere. And it's important to contain the run game. You can also contain Amari Cooper that way. Just stop the offense. Now, let's talk pushovers. And the pushover this week is the Browns defense. It's just one of the worst units in the league. They're ranked second last in scoring defense, 18th in the league in yards allowed per game. And that would be less of a detriment to them if this game was played in Buffalo, where all the snow is, the 6-7 feet million of snow, whatever. But the game moved to Detroit, which is just a huge advantage for the Buffalo Bills and their offense and their defense. The Bills will need to take advantage of the climate-controlled environment that they're now playing in. Like last week, they played a weak defense in the Vikings, but the Vikings defense came up clutch. They had 2 interceptions, some sacks, ultimately won the game. Can the Browns defense do the same for them? We're going to have to wait and see. Now, we got to talk about some offensive and defensive expectations. As for offensive expectations, I expect Allen will start to bounce back from his awful 3-game stretch of football. With 6 interceptions in the last 3 games. If you cut that down in half, he's got 7 interceptions. That's tied with Mahomes. If he doesn't throw any picks in the last 3 games, he's got 4 interceptions on the year. Something like that, right? Yeah, 4 interceptions on the year if he doesn't throw 6 in the last 3 games. But he threw 6 interceptions in the last 3 games. You learn from it. You move on. You've seen a lot of Allen trying to force the ball into places it shouldn't be. Someone's got to reel him in. Brian Daboll usually did a good job of that. Allen threw a lot of picks last year. Not this many through this many games, but Allen has to get it together. Ken Dorsey has to reel him in, get more creative, force him to throw more checkdowns, take the easy pass. When the big play's there, chuck that motherfucker down the field. I don't care. But you need to take the yards where you can get them, get the offense moving, get the run game going. This is why Allen needs a run game. He's not Mahomes. He's Josh Allen. He can run the ball. He needs a run game to help him throw the ball better, help him relax, and so he's not forcing the ball where it's not supposed to be. Bills team really needs the offense too, because the only chance that they really have in the division at this point is if they run the table. They're going to have to win all 4 of the remaining division games. They're going to have to beat the Browns, the Lions, which they should beat. I hope to God. Then you play the 4 division games. You got the Bengals, which is going to be a really tough game. You got the Bears, which could be a tough game because they can run the ball really well. It's not going to be easy, and the schedule next year is even harder than what we have this year. Bills need to get it together now, figure out a way to get to the playoffs at this point. It's just about making the damn playoffs. From there, anyone's got a chance. Obviously, you want the home games at Orchard Park, but could going on the road be an advantage? Who knows? In the Dome, I would expect the Bills to air this one out, as they always do. Granted, we always want to see them get the run game going, even though they're top 10 in rushing yards per game. A lot of that comes from Allen, but they're still a top 10 rushing offense. This game was in Buffalo, and Cleveland was running all over them. Bills can't run the ball, but climate-controlled environment, not a factor, all right? Weather's not a factor. No excuses. They need to utilize the run game when they can to set up play action, open up the playbook, throw the ball downfield, score lots of touchdowns, win the game, because that's how football games are won. You score more points than the other team, odds are 100% of the time you're going to win the game. Now, as for defensive expectations, no matter who's playing for the Bills on defense this week, this run defense needs to show up against this Browns run offense. They've got that former Bills guard, Wyatt Teller. Why did we let him go? You stop this run early because the Browns are obviously going to want to get the run game going, to set up the play action, to open up their playbook. You need to play your game. Stop the run. Make them play your way. That's to get them to throw. The offense gets up early, scores a lot, forces the Browns to pass. Big recipe for the Bills to win. When the offense is going and the defense clicks early, nobody can really stop this Bills team, because then you have to play into the way the Bills want you to play. When this defense is healthy, they are the best in football. And even with some backups in there this week, I fully expect them to throttle this Browns offense and help the Bills get the win this week. Now, as for stat line predictions this week, I have Josh Allen going 30 for 40, 362 yards, 5 touchdowns, an interception. I think he's going to have a huge game this week, a huge bounce back game. Granted, he still throws an interception. 5 touchdowns is a lot of touchdowns. Stephon Diggs, 12 targets, 9 receptions, 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Devin Singletary will go 10 carries for 52 yards and 0 touchdowns. Now, as for a score prediction, I'm going to go 41-19 Buffalo. I think this will be a high-scoring game. Other than the Vikings game, the Bills have held every opponent to under 20 points. Well, Miami scored 21, but you know what? Whatever. The Bills have held every opponent other than the Dolphins and Vikings to under 20 points. They can stop a pretty poverty Browns team. Plain and simple. Get the job done, get the dub, and get yourself back on the division race, okay? That's going to be it for this video, Bills Mafia. Thank you so much for watching. As always, make sure to leave a like on the video and leave your predictions for this game in the comments down below. On your way out, please subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. You know, as always, go Bills.